What's going on, Titans fans? You're watching Titans Today, and on today's show, we're going to go ahead and talk about Julio Jones. We're also going to talk about A.J. Brown because EA Sports released their Madden 2022 rankings, and only one of those receivers that I just mentioned ended up making the top 10 list. That guy, newly acquired Julio Jones. Now, he came in ranked number 5 on this list with a 95 overall rating. The reason why I think this is at least halfway interesting because Julio was one of those players that's coming off a little bit of a banged-up season. Sure, we know when fully healthy, and I would agree with this, that he is definitely a top 5 receiver, but I think it's kind of funny how the bigger story here around a lot of Titans fans over the internet has not been so much about Julio, it's been about A.J. Brown. So here's what Madden's top wide receivers ended up looking like. Devontae Adams was the only receiver that got a 99 overall ranking. Then DeAndre Hopkins got a 98 with Tyreek Hill. Stephon Diggs, 97. Julio Jones of the Titans, which you see right there, 95 overall. So who are some of those receivers that were ranked above A.J. Brown? Michael Thomas with a 94 overall ranking. Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Allen Robinson. I'm not really going to hate on Thomas, even though he's been a little bit banged up. Also, Allen Robinson, I like Keenan Allen, but like A.J. Brown to me, if you were asking me would I rather have Amari Cooper or Mike Evans right now, I'd actually probably just go ahead and say A.J. Brown. But in terms of Julio Jones, since he did end up making the list, 51 receptions last year, 771 yards, 3 touchdowns, definitely battled some injuries here and there, 32 years old as it stands right now. But the question I'm going to ask y'all is this, get your votes in, is Julio Jones a top 10 wide receiver? Why for yes, or you can go down in the comments section and type N for no. If you're new to how we do videos around here at Chat Sports, we're going to ask questions. For me, though, this is pretty simple. Julio Jones is a top 5 receiver in my personal opinion, so I would go ahead and type my Y for yes. Now, A.J. Brown being snubbed from Madden's top 10 list, not that I was super surprised by it, but you at least have to be able to look at what Brown has done his first 2 years in the NFL. Yes, he has missed some games. I get that, but I mean, he has been one of the most dynamic players. I would actually make an argument. He's been one of the more dynamic receivers his first 2 years with names like Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham Jr. These are the type of names that come out to me. But receptions as a rookie, 52 grabs, 70 as a sophomore, over 1,000 yards, and I mean, you're looking at right there 19 total touchdowns on a run-first offense. So then when you look at the Titans wide receiver depth chart, you got Julio Jones, you got A.J. Brown. Those are your top 2 dogs. I'm just going to say this right now. Love Josh Reynolds as a sleeper for any of y'all out there in some fantasy football leagues. But I was asked to put together my top wide receivers list, and I did have Julio Jones in that one. He came in number 4. A.J. Brown didn't quite crack my top 5, but if I were to do a top 10 list, Brown would actually be in that list there. So when you really see Julio getting a 95 overall, and then you got A.J. Brown, obviously he's not going to have a 90 overall if he's underneath Allen Robinson. But I am curious because I've asked this question before, and even though EA Sports thinks Julio Jones is the better receiver, and yeah, I do too when fully healthy, I am going to ask you a question about yards and yards alone. Who's going to have more receiving yards for the Titans this upcoming season? Is it going to be Julio Jones, type J, or is it going to be A.J. Brown, type B? This was about as close as it possibly could have been, but I am actually going to go with A.J. Brown simply because I think he's going to have the connection there with Ryan Tannehill. And not that I like predicting injuries because that's not what I'm trying to do, but I have more confidence in A.J. Brown playing more games than Julio Jones this upcoming season.